It started when her best friend showed up at our house late one evening, crying so hard she could barely speak. My wife pulled her into a hug and told me to give them privacy. But before I could walk away, her friend looked straight at me and said my name like she needed me to hear what was coming next. She sat down, wiped her face, and told us she was pregnant. My wife gasped and hugged her again, already asking supportive questions, until the friend quietly said the baby wasn't her husband's. The room went silent. She explained that the affair had been going on for months with a coworker, that it was a mistake, that she planned to end it. But now everything was falling apart. Her husband had started asking questions, checking her phone, mentioning DNA tests. That's when she turned to me and said, "I need your help." I didn't understand what she meant until she explained that she needed someone to confirm a timeline that would make it impossible for her husband to question the pregnancy. She said I'd only need to say a few words if asked, nothing detailed, just enough to create doubt. I told her I wasn't getting involved. She broke down and said if her marriage collapsed, she'd lose everything, and that my wife would lose her best friend. My wife stayed quiet the entire time. After her friend left, I expected anger or reassurance, but instead my wife asked me a question that still echoes in my head. If it were me, would you protect me? I didn't answer fast enough. Over the next few days, her friend called constantly, then stopped calling and started texting my wife instead. Suddenly, I was the bad guy for judging, for not understanding how complicated things are. At dinner with her parents, I realized they already knew a version of the story where I was being difficult and uncooperative. They talked about forgiveness and loyalty without ever mentioning the affair. Then one night, my wife told me her friend's husband had reached out to her, asking if something felt off. She looked at me and said, "We don't need to say anything." That's when I understood she wasn't asking anymore. She'd already chosen a side. I told her I wouldn't lie, even indirectly, and that I wouldn't live in a marriage where the truth was optional. She said I was being dramatic and that families survive because people stay quiet. A week later, the truth came out anyway. The co-worker's spouse found messages and sent everything to the husband. The fallout was immediate. Separation, screaming phone calls, blocked numbers. Her friend blamed me, saying if I'd helped, they could have controlled the damage. What hurt the most wasn't losing friends or being talked about. It was realizing my wife was more upset about the chaos than the lie itself. We still live in the same house, but something fundamental is gone. Trust doesn't break loudly. Sometimes it just disappears the moment you realize the person next to you was willing to let you become someone you promised yourself you'd never be.